I told my aloof childhood friend that I fancied wild boys and asked him to pass love letters for me. Suddenly, his eyes reddened at the corners, and he grabbed my waist firmly. If only you'd said earlier that you liked wild types. I won't pretend to be aloof for so long, he growled. I was utterly confused. Ding! This novel reminds you to click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner to read the complete novel. After class, I went to find my childhood friend Luke Ferrier to deliver my love letter. But I discovered a shocking scene in the corridor of his classroom. Luke was a prodigy, excellent in studies, handsome, and of good character. His every move exuded a cool, ascetic quality. Like the bright moon or a deity, untouchable and sacred. Yet this exemplary student, with one hand in his pocket, was roughly grabbing a classmate's collar in the hallway, threatening, "If you dare show your face around her again, I'll damn end you." Who was her? Did I hear that right? Luke Ferrier said he'd end him? I was utterly shocked. Luke had never even sworn before. Did he just refer to damn? Doubting my ears, I incredulously dug at them. As I looked up, my eyes met Luke's. He calmly straightened the classmate's collar, his expression as impassive as ever. Just helping with a question, no need to thank me. The classmate, eyes wide with bewilderment, glanced at me before nodding in sudden comprehension. Right, asking about a problem. Thanks, Luke. He then stumbled hurriedly into the classroom. I breathed a sigh of relief. Clearly, I had misheard. It was just about helping with schoolwork after all. I walked up to Luke and poked his shoulder. You're quite nice, even fixing his collar for him. Luke gave a faint in response. I sighed. Like talking to a block of wood, so few words. I quickly handed him the love letter I'd written. Luke's body stiffened, looking momentarily lost, but he quickly regained composure. He took my letter, his long fingers turning white as they gripped it. His fist gradually clenched, nearly crumpling my letter. Who is it this time? I explained, don't worry, I won't trouble you with this again. This should be the last time I ask you to deliver a love letter. I nervously eyed the veins standing out on Luke's hand. Could you not crush my letter? If it's crumpled, they won't be able to read it clearly. I felt quite awkward. If I were Luke, I'd be fed up too. I'd already had Luke deliver countless love letters for me. Yes, you heard right, countless. It's not that I'm fickle or a player. It's because I'm bound to a system. It's a long story. I stayed up late one night reading a novel about a love game system and called it stupid. The next day, a system panel flashed before my eyes. The task was announced, please find him within 300 days and max out his affection meter. I complained angrily. Stupid, right? Who is he? What's his name? Where am I supposed to find him? Fortunately, the system panel gave a hint. Once he receives your love letter and reads it, you'll be able to see the system bar above his head. He has a rather wild personality, is close to you, at school and... The system panel suddenly froze, and the rest of the text failed to load. When it recovered, a warning page appeared. If the mission is failed, the consequence is death. Then the system panel disappeared and never showed up again. I suspected the system was taking revenge on me. According to the system panel's hint, this he with a wild personality should be at school. So I wrote countless love letters, each time asking Luke to deliver them for me. Excluding Luke, who was too serious and aloof for his age. I sent love letters to anyone with a lively personality. Disappointingly, every time I met someone after sending a letter, I couldn't see their system bar. None of them was the he I was looking for. As a result, I became known as the heartbreaker at school. Luckily, I heard that Luke's desk mate, Carl, was coming back. There had always been legends about him at school. Famous for his wild and unrestrained nature. He had taken a 6-month break for some reason and was now returning to class. Coincidentally, I had been searching for him for half a year as well. A twist of fate. I thought Carl must be the one the system wanted me to find. I said to Luke, give the love letter to your desk mate Carl. I've heard he's wild and cool. I like his personality. Luke lowered his eyelashes, seemingly lost in thought. Silently staring at the love letter clutched in his hand. I patted him. What are you thinking about? Did you hear me? You must tell Carl clearly, express my deep love, no, my passion for his wild temperament. As usual, tell him I'll be waiting for him at the bookshop behind the school after class. Luke's face inexplicably turned cold. After a moment of silence, he finally spoke, fine, got it. As he turned away, I heard a cold snort from behind. So you like the wild ones, huh? I suddenly turned back. What did you just say? Luke shook his head, striding into the classroom with an impassive expression. After school, something explosive happened. I waited at the bookshop, not for Carl Dixon, but for Luke Ferrier, who had undergone a dramatic transformation. The Luke I knew used to dress neatly, with his school blazer buttoned up to the collar. His short hair falling straight, always exuding a faint air of aloofness and melancholy. Now, Luke stood before me with his blazer carelessly open, revealing the smooth lines of his neck and his clearly visible, sexy collarbone. He had his bag slung across his shoulder. His short hair casually tousled, with stray strands falling over his strong brow. He radiated an aura of wild abandon. I blinked and rubbed my eyes, staring at Luke as he approached me. He backed me up against a bookshelf. The dappled light from the window cast a rosy glow on his sharp features, softening his usually stoic expression. Before I could speak, he smirked and pulled me close, his hand firmly on my waist. Should have told me earlier you fancied the wild type. Made me put on an act for so long. I froze in his embrace. My mind went blank. After a long moment, I hesitantly opened my mouth. Do you fancy me? Luke's eyes were slightly red as he tightened his grip around my waist, pulling me closer. I like you, he said softly. Does that make you uncomfortable? Quiet, I'm thinking. I'm growing a brain here. My childhood friend likes me? How did I never notice before? Oddly enough, he's suddenly changed his personality too. I tentatively asked, have you gone mad from all that studying? His thin lips curved upwards, his smile both restless and eye-catching. Yes, I have, he replied. His smile faded as his Adam's apple bobbed. You said this might be the last chance for me to deliver your love letter, so... I panicked. Seeing my silence, he slowly released my waist. With his hands in his pockets and a gentle smile, he leaned against the bookshelf. Estelle, he said. His voice was clear and deep. Don't feel pressured. Whether you like me or not is your business. Confessing is mine. He looked up, meeting my gaze. When we were little, you said you liked quiet boys. I've been acting unlike myself. I don't want to pretend anymore. I want to face you as my true self. Are you ready? I took a moment to process. Ready for what? Luke stared at me intently, his eyes filled with mirth. I'm going to pursue you. Just as I was about to respond, someone poked me in the back. I turned around. A tall, slim lad was chewing gum, blowing a bubble with a mischievous grin. Hey, love. Heard you wrote me a love letter? He tilted his head, giving Luke a meaningful look. But I never got it. That wanker who sits next to me tore it up. I examined the boy in front of me. He wasn't wearing the school uniform, but a black hoodie instead. His features were delicate, and he wore an earring. He exuded an air of rebelliousness. I'd seen him around school a few times before, but it had been a while. I wasn't sure. I asked, "Are you Carl Dixon?" He raised an eyebrow. Yeah, that's me. I've been asking around, and you're quite famous. Dumped quite a few blokes in the past 6 months, haven't you? What's this then, little heartbreaker? Trying to reel me in? I have a hunch. Carl Dixon must be the one the system wants me to find. Too bad he didn't see my love letter. Otherwise, we could test if he has a system bar above his head right now. I smile and nod. Yes, I'm trying to catch you. Carl is stunned by my boldness. He seems unfamiliar with girls as shameless as me. His expression shows he's unused to being flirted with so brazenly. Beside him, Luke lowers his head slightly, his eyes downcast. He picks up his backpack and passes by me. instinctively reaching out to touch my head, but restrains himself midair. Only his gentle voice lingers in my ear. Bravely pursue what you like. I will too. I stare blankly at Luke's tall figure as he walks away. This sudden confession from my childhood friend leaves me at a loss. Thinking carefully, everything seems to make sense now. Every time we went to school, I'd always meet Luke at the corner with breakfast. Whenever we took the bus, he liked to stare at the window. I thought he enjoyed the scenery, but it turns out he was looking at my reflection. Every time he passed by my classroom, he'd slow down until we made eye contact, then leave with a smile. I was just too oblivious to notice his quiet affection. Carl taps me out of my daze. You little heartbreaker, you're the real deal. Saying you want to catch me while gazing longingly after him. No wonder you've dumped countless lads in the past 6 months. I snap out of my thoughts and turn back to Carl. I'll write you another love letter tomorrow. Please make sure you read it. Carl frowns. Why are you so obsessed with love letters? Can't you just tell me face to face? I blurt out, no, it has to be a letter. Worried about arousing his suspicion and complicating things, I explain. We need some romance in this pursuit, don't we? What if I don't read it? What would make you read it? Carl's lips curl into a smirk as he leans casually against the bookshelf, teasing. I like spicy girls, and you seem too tame. If you become more my type, I'll read your letter. Deal, I agree readily and start to leave. Leaving already? I turn back at his words. Do you have any other requests? Carl pauses. Don't you want to spend some time alone with me? I've got things to do. I make up an excuse. I need to do my homework. No time. As I leave, I hear Carl mutter behind me. Little heartbreaker, you don't really fancy me at all, do you? I'm not quite sure I understand the concept of liking someone. From childhood to adulthood, I've never experienced that sudden rush of heartbeat for anyone. But now, I find myself in a peculiar state. Lying in bed, tossing and turning, my mind is filled with scenes of Luke confessing his feelings to me. The next day, I followed Carl's advice and worked on my appearance. I let down my long ponytail, allowing my straight black hair to fall around my ears, and applied some lipstick. I examined myself in the mirror from different angles. Did I look a bit hot now? Oh well, I'd done my best. I stuffed the love letter I'd written into my backpack and rushed out the door in a hurry. As I opened the door, the long-absent system panel suddenly popped up before my eyes. Warning, 100 days remaining until the end of the task. Task failure will result in death. The system panel reminded me again, starting the countdown. I had to act quickly. Walking to the corner where I usually met Luke, I instinctively lowered my head. When we meet, should I just greet him normally? I took a deep breath and looked up. At the corner where the trees cast their shadows, I didn't see the young man leaning against the wall with his breakfast as usual. The morning breeze blew against my neck, giving me a momentary chill. My shoulders slumped dejectedly. For some reason, not seeing Luke made me feel disappointed. As I arrived at school, I headed straight for Carl's classroom, secretly hoping to bump into Luke. This feeling of shyness mixed with anticipation was something I'd never experienced before. As I reached his corridor, I caught sight of Luke. He had his bag slung across his shoulder, a wireless earbud in his left ear, and his tall figure strode leisurely into the classroom. I was momentarily stunned. He really had changed. Without the fringe covering his forehead, his features were more defined. Gone was his previous coolness, replaced by a carefree brightness that drew the eyes of every girl around. Not just to him, but to me as well. I glanced at the cute, blushing girl in front of me and said firmly, "He doesn't accept love letters." The girl withdrew her letter disappointedly. "I heard you and Luke are good friends. Could you help me set up a date with him?" A surge of jealousy welled up inside me. So this is what it feels like to be jealous. Remembering how I'd asked Luke to deliver my love letters for half a year, I felt guilty. After entering their classroom, I glanced at Carl lounging in his seat. I handed him the love letter, reminding him, "Make sure you read it." Without waiting for Carl's response, I sat opposite Luke and asked softly, "How come I didn't see you this morning?" Luke looked up. "Did you want to see me?" I froze for a second, then hurriedly explained. I usually see you at the corner every time, but not today, so I was just wondering. Luke asked, "You haven't had breakfast yet, have you?" I nodded. I'd grown used to him waiting for me at the corner with breakfast every day, and thought today would be the same. He took out a still warm breakfast from his desk drawer and handed it to me. My dad wasn't feeling well last night, so I stayed with him at the hospital. I came straight from there this morning, didn't go home. No wonder I hadn't seen him. I asked, "Is Mr. Ferrier all right?" "He's fine, don't worry." Luke looked me over, a smile playing on his lips. "You look very pretty today." I could feel my cheeks burning uncontrollably. "Hey." Carl waved the love letter between Luke and me. "Am I interrupting something here? Should I leave?" "Estelle," Carl called my name angrily. "You come to give me a love letter, then flirt with him right in front of me? Don't you think that's a bit much?" How annoying, I'd forgotten about him. I really regret complaining about the system. Now I've become a player and can't even explain myself. I turned to Carl. "Please make sure you read the letter, okay? I'll wait for you in the library after school." Carl tossed the letter onto the desk in frustration, lounging back with his legs crossed. "Little heartbreaker, what did I say yesterday? You said if I dressed to your taste, you'd read the letter." Carl spread his hands helplessly, looking me up and down. I said, "Hot, look at yourself, is this hot?" I pouted, pointing at my lipstick. "This is bright red, isn't that hot enough?" Carl laughed mockingly, tapping his finger on the love letter. "Is this how you try to win me over?" "I'm not in the mood to read this love letter today." I was about to explain that I had tried my best when Luke suddenly stood up. He took a wet wipe and removed my lipstick. His gentleness seemed to have vanished as he spoke slowly and deliberately. "You're still a student. Makeup doesn't suit you. Besides, it looks awful." Awful? But he had just complimented me on how pretty I looked today. I angrily asked Carl, "So I need to look sexy for you to read the letter?" Carl nodded with amusement. "That's right. I'm not in a good mood and don't have time to slowly transform into your idea of sexy. There's a school sports competition this afternoon. If you dress up to my satisfaction, I'll read the letter." "It has to be today?" "Yes, it has to be today." I frowned. Was he deliberately trying to make me look foolish at the school sports event? Well, he was a troublemaker after all. I gritted my teeth. "Fine." Luke grabbed Carl's collar. "Still thinking of dropping out?" "I wouldn't mind helping you with that." Carl laughed and shook off Luke's grip. "Dear classmate, be civilized. I don't think I'm being excessive with a fickle girl like her who plays both sides. If you want to be made a fool of by her, that's your choice." "I don't." Carl's words made me feel like I didn't even have the right to be angry. I glanced shamefully at Luke before quickly leaving my seat. Carl was right, I was playing both sides. Feeling drawn to my childhood friend while still leading him on. I couldn't let others laugh at Luke for being a fool. Since I couldn't avoid the task, I shouldn't have developed feelings for him or given him hope. Soon it was time for the afternoon school competition. I arrived at the sports field wearing a tight-fitting dress that accentuated my figure. Everyone's eyes turned towards me. Has Estelle Wright gone mad? Why is she dressed so provocatively? But, you have to admit, she does have a great figure. For heaven's sake, this is school, not a nightclub. You go tell the teacher, I'll sort her out. We'll make her look foolish later. Amidst the mocking voices, I approached Carl. As I parted my red lips, I gently tossed my hair. "Hot enough for you? Ready to read my love letter now?" Carl stared at me, his ears turning red. "After school," he mumbled. "And I'm sorry about this morning. I was joking, I didn't think you'd actually dress like this for the school competition." He stammered an explanation, "They're talking about you." "I'll shut them up in a bit." I shook my head. "It's fine. If I'm brave enough to wear it, I can handle their gossip. Just, don't lie to me. Please make sure you read the letter after school. I'll be waiting at our usual spot." Shortly after, I was called over by our form teacher for a lecture. When I went to the changing room to put on my school uniform for the competition, I found that someone had stolen it from my locker. With the competition about to start, I had no choice but to participate in my tight dress. I had chosen the long-distance run. Just before the race began, we had to crouch down to prepare. My dress was far too short for me to crouch, leaving me awkwardly standing in the middle of the field. The laughter and whispers from the crowd grew louder. Under the scorching sun on the sports field, I watched as Luke ran towards me. He took off his school blazer and tied it around my waist. He leaned in close, the fresh scent of his shower gel wafting to my nose. Don't listen to the nasty comments. Just focus on running. I'll be waiting for you at the finish line. The afternoon sunlight fell on his tall, straight figure as he walked away, leaving me momentarily dazed. As the whistle blew, I sprinted with all my might. As I approached the finish line, Luke stood opposite me, holding up a lollipop, just like he did every time he patiently tutored me. Whenever I persevered, he would reward me with a lollipop. He mouthed the words, "Come on." Amidst the cheers, I came in first place. This time, however, I didn't take the sweet from the young man's hand. Instead, I brushed past him, despite the expectant look in his eyes. The smile faded from the young man's lips. I walked straight past him to Carl, reminding him once again, "Don't forget to read the love letter after school." I handed Luke's blazer to Carl. "Please return this to him." Carl took the blazer, his tone slightly excited. "You're choosing me? You're not playing around anymore? Do you really like me? Don't fool me, please. I may seem arrogant and cocky, but I'm very loyal and innocent when it comes to relationships. You can't break my heart." I asked him, "Are you done?" He nodded. I left. After school, I paced nervously back and forth in the library. Soon I would know if Carl was the one the system wanted me to find. Carl arrived in a rush, his hair tousled by the wind, the tips still damp with sweat. I looked at the top of his head but couldn't see any system bar. Puzzled, I asked, "Did you read the love letter?" He took out the opened letter from his pocket. "Yes, I did. It's quite mushy, but I like it." I stood on tiptoe, ruffling his hair, searching for a system bar on his head but finding nothing. "Is this how wild you are when confessing your love?" Carl bent down as I tugged at his hair. "You don't have tendencies towards domestic violence, do you?" I let go, disappointed. It seemed he wasn't the one the system wanted me to find. I was going mad. Who on earth was this person the system wanted me to find? I had to max out their affection meter too, but time was running out. Was I destined to die young? Carl rubbed his head and asked, "What are you thinking about?" I sighed deeply. "I'm sorry, but we're not compatible." Carl pointed at himself self-mockingly. "You mean I've just been dumped? Aren't you being too cruel?" "I've only just started to like you." Carl grabbed my hand, unwilling to let go. "How about this? Tell me where we're not compatible, and I'll change." I really can't accept this. My heart had just opened up, and someone threw a bomb into it. I pried Carl's hand off. "Please don't do this. We're truly not compatible." Carl stood there, looking lost and dejected. "Oh, by the way," I said, "give me back the love letter. I need to send it to the next person." Carl's eyes widened in shock. "What?" I'd grown numb from writing love letters. I could just change the name and use it again next time. As I turned the corner on my way home, I stopped in my tracks. Luke was leaning quietly against the lamppost at the street corner. When he saw me, he slowly straightened up. "Can we talk for a moment?" I tried to maintain my composure, walking past him without a word. He grabbed my wrist, his hand trembling slightly from nervousness. "I'm not asking for any response from you. I've said before, my feelings for you are my own business. At the very least, please don't ignore me." I looked up with reddened eyes, "But it makes me uncomfortable. I can't give you an answer right now. Continuing this unclear relationship will only make people—" I couldn't bring myself to say mock you. "It will only make people gossip about me. No one would dare gossip about you with me around." Luke's voice quivered as he pleaded. Can we just be good friends like before, as if nothing happened? Are we deceiving ourselves? I said, you've confessed to me. I can't treat you as just a regular friend anymore. Let's not talk to each other from now on. With that, I walked into the alley without looking back. The next morning when I opened my eyes, the system panel appeared again. Warning, 99 days until mission failure. Mission failure consequence, death. For the following days, the system panel would display the same warning page. Winter had arrived unnoticed during the days of searching for him. Outside Chester, the landscape was covered in ice and snow. Even the sunset had turned a bleak grayish-white. Only 10 days left until death. I was on the verge of a breakdown. I had written love letters to everyone at school, from the wild ones to the quiet introverts. But none of them turned out to be the one I was looking for. As I crossed off the names of those I'd sent letters to, I suddenly realized I hadn't sent a love letter to Luke. Could the system be telling me that Luke was the one I needed to find? But ever since that day at the crossroads when I said harsh words, our relationship had turned ice cold. We hadn't spoken since. Never mind. I'll write a love letter and see if it's him. Time to prepare for the romantic battlefield. I crouched stealthily by the classroom window, clutching my love letter and peeking in with half my head visible. Luke sat on his desk, resting his chin on one hand while twirling a pen with his fingers. The sweet girl who had asked me to help arrange a meeting with Luke was now approaching him, holding a love letter and chocolates. Her face flushed with shyness as she stood before him. She held out her offerings and said bashfully, "Luke, I like you." Oh no! My rival had beaten me to it. As I prepared to burst in, I noticed Carl trudging dejectedly along the corridor. His dispirited appearance startled me. The once proud school bully had lost all his swagger. I grabbed a passing student and asked, "What's happened to Carl?" The student replied, "He's been like this ever since that heartless girl hurt him." "Oh, by the way," the student added, pointing at me, "you're that heartless girl." I winced uncomfortably. Clearly, I needed to have a proper chat with Carl. "Could you ask Carl to come out? Tell him I'm waiting by the stairwell." I gazed at the school building, shrouded in a light mist, as I waited for Carl. After a while, he emerged, looking glum. The formerly arrogant and cool Carl was now a shadow of his former self, haggard, with dark circles under his eyes, and even his uniform was wrinkled. I moved closer, about to offer some words of comfort, but he spoke first. "Have you come to make up with me? Did you realize, after playing the field, that no one's as good as me, so now you regret it? Do you think I'd forgive you? I won't fall for your tricks again." I remained silent, and he continued, "But I could give you a chance to win me back. If I'm satisfied, I might forgive you." "Why aren't you saying anything? Actually, you don't need to pursue me. I've thought about it and I forgive you. Want to watch a film tonight? I'll buy the tickets." I was speechless. Hold on. Was he love-struck? He seemed rather chatty and not at all like someone devastated by heartbreak. I patted his shoulder and said, "I'm glad you're all right. Carl, I'm sorry. I want to apologize for my previous behavior. You're truly wonderful, and you deserve someone better to love you. I'm the one who's not good enough for you. I hope you can pick yourself up and go back to being that bright, cheerful lad who lights up the room." Carl gazed at me pitifully. "So, is this really the end for us?" "More accurately, we never actually started anything." Carl deliberately lowered his tear-filled lashes. "Don't give me all that high-minded talk, I don't understand it. You've bitten off more than you can chew by getting involved with me." He lifted his eyelids, hurriedly avoiding my gaze. "Well, I should go now." After a few steps, he suddenly turned back. "Let's be friends from now on." I nodded, smiling happily. "Oh, by the way," I called after him, "could you ask Luke to come out?" The smile that had just appeared on Carl's face vanished instantly. "Estelle right, you really are heartless." After a while, Luke came out of the classroom. He walked to my side and leaned his back against the wall. I was suddenly nervous and forgot to speak. While I was gathering my thoughts, Luke turned his face and asked, "Why did you suddenly leave the window earlier?" I was surprised. "You saw me?" I had hidden myself well, and I didn't see him turn his head. Luke looked away and said softly, "My heartbeat saw you before I did." I stared at the young man's profile, the noise around us fading away until I could only hear my own heartbeat. Suppressing the turmoil within, I asked, "Did you accept her love letter just now?" Luke shook his head. "I don't accept love letters." I felt secretly delighted, yet somewhat disappointed. If he doesn't accept love letters, what about mine? I probed cautiously. "You won't accept anyone's letter?" "Yours is an exception," Luke said. "I've been waiting all this time, thinking. You've given letters to others, when will it be my turn?" Happily, I took out my letter and handed it to him. "Luke, this is the love letter I wrote for you." I was nervous in a way I'd never been before, waiting with anticipation for him to take it. In the past, when giving out love letters, I was like an emotionless NPC, mechanically repeating a task. But this time, the NPC had grown flesh and blood, and I felt my heart was about to leap out of my chest. "I'm sorry." Luke's gaze lingered on the letter for a few seconds before looking away. I stepped forward quickly and grabbed his wrist, asking, "Why? Didn't you say my letter was an exception?" My heartbeat was too erratic. He had never refused me before, and I lost my composure for a moment. I held onto his hand tightly. "Can you give me a chance? I'll be good to you." He remained silent, making me even more flustered. I sobbed as I tried to string words together, afraid that if I didn't say it right, he would never speak to me again. Panicked and at a loss like a child who had done something wrong, I finally squeezed out a sentence from my throat. "Please, give me a chance?" Luke slowly turned around, raising his hand to gently wipe away the tears from the corner of my eye. "Silly girl, my feelings for you have never changed. I'm not rejecting you." I sniffled with a choked voice, looking up at him with teary eyes, and asked in confusion, "Then why won't you accept my love letter?" "Because." Luke paused. "I don't want us to end before we've even begun." I still couldn't understand what he meant. I asked, "What do you mean?" Luke said, "Those who have read love letters never had a future, including Carl. I don't want to be like them." I suddenly realized. I shook my head and explained, "It won't be like that. You're different from them." Luke lowered his eyes and glanced at my love letter again. Frowning with apparent distaste, "I won't accept it. It's bad luck for me." Then he turned and entered the classroom without looking back. For the next few days, I spent every day trying to coax Luke into reading the love letter, time slipping away second by second in my attempts to persuade him. The death warnings on the system board were getting closer and closer. 7 days until death. 5 days until death. 3 days until death. 1 day until death. Warning, death countdown initiated. 24 hours remaining. 22 hours remaining. 12 hours remaining. Time kept slipping away. I hung my head, feeling that fate was against me. These past few days, I had tried every trick in the book with Luke, using both threats and enticements, but he still refused to accept the love letter. I decided to use my last resort. It was now or never. I picked up my phone and sent Luke a message. "Darling, my parents aren't home today. I've made your favorite dish. Come over for dinner tonight. Waiting for you." I went to the corner shop and bought a few bottles of ale to put on the dining table. Luke couldn't handle his drink. Once, during Christmas dinner at my house, my dad teased him into drinking, and he passed out after just one glass. My plan was to get him drunk, tie him up, and force him to read the love letter. As night fell, I finished setting the table just as the doorbell rang. I hurried to answer it. Luke stood there, wearing a thin white hoodie with the sleeves rolled up to his elbows. His headband was damp with sweat, as if he'd just finished playing a sport. Our eyes met, and he hesitated to enter, casting a wary glance towards the dining table in the living room. "I'm not interested in love letters. Making my favorite food won't work either," he said. I laughed coyly. "What kind of person do you think I am? I just thought, since I've been a bit distant lately, I'd make your favorite meal to apologize," I explained. I tugged on his arm, urging him inside. Come on in, you. I closed the door behind us and led him to the table. Sitting beside him, I placed a slice of roast beef on his plate and rested my chin on my hand, smiling at him. Eat up. Luke picked up his fork, then paused for a few seconds before setting it down again. There's no such thing as a free lunch, he muttered. Pretending not to hear, I opened a bottle of ale and poured him a glass. Food and drink. Go on, have some, I encouraged. Luke frowned slightly. I don't really drink. I batted my eyelashes at him, smiling sweetly. The last time I saw you drinking, you looked so dashing. I can't forget it. I put on an exaggerated lovesick expression. You were so handsome. Stunningly gorgeous, earth-shatteringly attractive. My heart was ready to fall, tumbling into your love, unable to escape. Darling, might I be lucky enough to witness your godlike drinking prowess once again today? Stop it! Luke grabbed the glass and downed it in one go. Just stop torturing me. As soon as the words left his mouth, his cheeks flushed red and he collapsed face first onto the table with a thud. One drink knockout, true to his reputation. I brought out the rope I'd prepared and tied him to the bed. I gently propped Luke against the headboard, my hands trembling. As I looked up, my eyes met his face. His pale skin was flushed with a rosy hue, and even the corners of his eyes were tinged red from the alcohol. The hoodie I had tugged at was disheveled, exposing his attractive collarbone that rose and fell with each breath as his Adam's apple moved slightly. It was both sensual and alluring. I couldn't resist reaching out to touch his Adam's apple. My fingertips tingled as if electrified, and inexplicably, my breathing quickened. Lost in the moment, I was suddenly jolted by a warning flashing on my system panel. Warning, 10 minutes until death. Remaining, 9 minutes, 59 seconds. Remaining, 9 minutes, 58 seconds. The countdown numbers loomed large before my eyes, flashing incessantly. I stared at the time in terror, sweat sliding down my cheeks and beginning to seep from my palms. Facing death, an overwhelming panic swept over me. Desperately, I pulled out the love letter and held it in front of Luke's eyes, calling his name several times with no response. I raised my hand and gave him a sharp slap across the face. Luke's body jolted, and his eyes suddenly flew open. He stared at me with wide eyes, bewildered, as he covered his reddening cheek. Why did you hit me?" he asked, stunned. I quickly withdrew my hand, lying. There was a mosquito sucking your blood. I was just swatting it away. Hastily, I held up the love letter in front of his eyes, silently praying. Oh, all the saints, this devout believer begs you. Please let him be the one the system wants me to find. It was now or never. I glanced at the time. Only 7 minutes and 25 seconds left. After reading the love letter, no system prompt appeared above Luke's head. I stumbled and collapsed to the ground, my heart skipping a beat. My ears were ringing, numb, with only the sound of the death countdown audible. 6 minutes and 58 seconds remaining. 5 minutes and 43 seconds remaining. Luke wasn't the one the system wanted me to find. Who on earth could it be? I've sent love letters to every boy in school, but none of them were the one the system wanted me to find. There's only one possibility left. The system is deliberately punishing me. Whether I find him or not, it's a dead end. I feel my breathing becoming labored, my heartbeat slowing down. The black crow flying outside is getting closer. In the moment of facing death, I smile bitterly at Luke. My dear childhood friend, I have to go. The pity is, I've realized my feelings, but didn't have time to love you. Luke asks, what nonsense are you talking about? I avoid the question, immersed in my own sad emotions. True love endures separation, it will reunite in the end. Wait for my new account. What did you just show me? Luke closes his eyes and shakes his head. You hit me too hard, I'm seeing double. Double vision? I stand up abruptly. I hold the love letter in front of Luke's eyes again. He opens his eyes, sees the letter, and instinctively raises his hand to cover his eyes, only to find he's been tied up. He quickly turns his head away, closing his eyes, and asks in disbelief, "Why did you tie me up?" I don't have time to answer him. I forcibly open his eyes and hold the love letter in front of him again. After a few seconds, a red system bar appears above his head. Affection, 90%. System, congratulations, host has found him. Before I can rejoice, the system board issues a warning. You have 3 minutes left to max out his affection. I'm as anxious as a cat on a hot tin roof. Time is tight and the task is heavy. I climb onto the bed and gaze at Luke intently. I start spouting sweet nothings at machine gun speed. Darling, guess what kind of tea I brewed today? Luke is completely confused. Earl Grey? Breakfast tea? I say, no, it's UT. Luke awkwardly curls his toes, as if he could dig out a 3-bedroom flat. The air suddenly goes quiet. The affection bar above his head doesn't change at all. I try again. I read a book yesterday. Can you guess which one? Luke shakes his head. I flick his forehead. Silly, it's meeting you, I'm all in dot. Luke forces out a stiff smile. If there's nothing else, let me go. I take a deep breath and look at him seriously. Luke, at first I wasn't sure about my feelings for you. But after you confessed to me, my heart would always flutter when I thought of you, and it got stronger every time I saw you. That's when I realized, it's love. Luke, I love you. Luke's eyes move, revealing a gentle smile. You can say those 3 words I love you to me over and over, I want to hear them for a lifetime. Affection increased by 6%, 4% left. I push him down and lean over him. I gently kiss the corner of his lips. He's startled, the tips of his ears turning red. The moonlight falls into his eyes through the lamplight. He smiles with utmost tenderness. You have to take responsibility for that kiss. I blush and softly murmur in agreement. Affection maxed out at 100%. Congratulations on completing the task. I let out a deep sigh of relief. I quickly untie the rope on Luke's wrists. But he grabs my arm and pulls me into his embrace. I unexpectedly fall on top of him. He points to the right corner of his lips. Here, kiss me again. I shyly lean in, but just as I'm about to kiss Luke, a rough hand suddenly reaches out to block us. Luke and I simultaneously look towards the owner of the hand. My pupils constrict in fear, and I quickly scramble up and stand properly. Dad, Mom, why are you back? My dad clenches his fists, his face furious. Both of you, get out here. Things have escalated. My parents call Luke's parents over, and they sit on the sofa with serious expressions to discuss. They can get engaged after graduation and marry after university. What do you think, in-law? My parents nod, that's the only way. They ask Luke and me, what do you two say? Luke and I exchange a smile. Couldn't ask for more. Just what we wanted.